all of us are. There's no category. You can't categorize the membership of Nkrumah's political family. We are all avowed.
Well, I guess you have, and like I said, this debate is not new. Started when the president came into power. Even before then, when the September 21 was instituted as the Founders' Day, that this debate has always been running. President Kufuor, this perhaps may be the last time he gets to address the nation and says these words. He says, "I reject the notion that one man founded our nation." Prof, what do you say?
You see, let me make my submission this way. I always share the experience of what Bishop told me when I went abroad. He met me at church service. My first church service, I arrived on Wednesday and then went to church service on Sunday. The only black guy in Western Canada. And then he also, how are you? I said, I said, I'm doing well. What are you here for? I said, I came here for studies. Then we had coffee and then he told me that, look, I pray you focus on your studies and then achieve your heart's desire. But one thing that the Almighty had done is his mercies in creating more opportunities than the number of human beings on earth. And it shall forever be. And each man or woman in your lifetime, if you spent all your time pursuing one opportunity, at the end of your working life or at the end of your life, you will not attain 30% of the potential of that opportunity. And so, if I reposition this in the discussion that you want us to have, this desperate, unfortunate, unsustainable quest to elevate some people in a veiled attempt to create the impression that they contributed so much. So if you water down Nkrumah's achievement, it will elevate those of others. Who has told anybody not to bring into prominence or to the public domain achievement by anybody? And you can see the illogicalities or, for that matter, inconsistencies. Have you ever heard them magnify Per Grant?
No.
Have you magnified Per Grant?
No.
But Per Grant, who was a merchant, you can say today, multi-businessman, was a founding member of the Aborigines Right Protection Society, founded on 4th August 1897. And he was the founder and financier of the UGCC 4th August, 50 years later, 1947. We don't say ill or we don't tell lies on the departed, but late Johnny Hansen, you might have heard of an activist, Johnny Hansen, and I once visited, 1998, one of the members of the Big Six, Akwaje, and he told us that if there is anybody who had not been actually treated fairly, it's Per Grant. Because he used a word, he said, he fed us and he gave us pocket money. Anytime we invited us to Second D for meetings of the UGCC, we got there when he had already bought suit, shoe, and everything for us. He said he fed us and clothed us. Have they ever magnified Per Grant if intention is really that Nkrumah was not the founder? But let's not have this debate. I always say this debate is rather disgraceful. It's disgraceful because if people who know the history of Ghana, and what are we talking about? If you even put it from 47 to now, 1947 to now, is it not just 87 years? When we have recorded history of human life or human activities dating over 2000. So 87-year-old history are well documented. You go to Japan, there is a library for Nkrumah. Cornell University, there's a section for Nkrumah. You go to Conakry, in the roundabout, you see Nkrumah statue, Lumumba, and Sekou. Universities are naming streets and halls in Zambia all over. So when you do so and they look at you and your whole attempt is to downgrade Nkrumah, that will not elevate anybody. The late Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Meles Zenawi, stood in the Parliament of Ethiopia and moved a motion which was adopted by the Parliament of Ethiopia to have Nkrumah statue when the Chinese built the new AU headquarters as the father of the African liberation. It was our president who went to Ethiopia to go and AU meeting, desperately moving that other members like Haile Selassie and others should be also recognized as the founding fathers of AU. Can you believe this? So what we are seeing is nothing new, but you see, it will only end with them because nobody recognizes it. But let's just spend some 2-3 minutes. 4th August 1947, UGCC was founded. On the advice of Akwaje, December 1947, Nkrumah arrived. And why? He didn't just come like an MC who you have invited, sent out to your wedding to come and MC for you. You prepared everything. No, he came on the advice of Akwaje because they lack inertia. You see, so he came purely to really give gravitas to the struggle towards independence. And he was tasked to make sure that everywhere in the colony, political activism would be the hallmark. He took up the challenge. He traveled in Trotro, wearing, in fact, if you read the autobiography, with ordinary tie as his belt, sleeping in corridors, mobilizing people. Just imagine traveling in Ghana today and relate it to almost 60 years or so ago, all over the country. And when things were not moving well, the youth were agitating. And in fact, look at positive action. January 1948, Crossroad shooting 1948, the looting 1948. Nkrumah was behind all this. And the rest of the members were just distancing themselves, blaming him for the agitation, writing to the colonial office in London that Nkrumah was engaged in criminal activities. And on the force of the youth, including the Ashanti Youth Association and others, Nkrumah moved and formed the Convention People's Party on the 12th of June 1949. And the agitation continued. Then in 1951, we had elections for limited self-government. And the agitation, the momentum was put in top gear. And the colonial office sent the colonial officer who came down and had a discussion with the then government with Nkrumah as prime minister. And through agitation, not violence and terrorism, we had a motion of destiny. The meeting took place on 20th June 1953, and on the 10th of July 1953, the motion of destiny was moved. And as you even said, obviously the opposition leader by parliamentary convention was the one who would have to second the motion. But then a delegation led by Comrade Kulebo, who came down together with Nkrumah in 1947, went to the House of Commons and tabled the motion, and the House of Commons adopted it. And the 1954 was the date that independence was the date for independence. It was through the agitation of these detractors, if you call them that way, that we had to do the plebiscite of 1956 to bring in Trans-Togoland. Then they joined after the victory of the UN-sponsored or UN-supervised plebiscite. And obviously, the date was set 6 March 1957. Professor Michael Kwe is my family member, so I cannot speak anything negative about him. But if I leave that family matter and we come into the intellectual domain, I don't think he's done justice to his own intellectual capacity, in the sense that you are a lecturer and you teach facts. You may express opinion, but opinions can never be factual in the sense that what happened was a historical human event. It's not a fiction. It's not a novel. And so, well, that is his opinion. I cannot take that from him. It is his right. But facts are facts. And there are living people, those who are even older than me, who even lived through as teenagers. Talk to Professor Akila Kwasoya. Talk to Dr. Nyaho Tamakulu. They lived through and saw it. At least the older generation, some are still alive, who can narrate their personal experience. And so let's not be debating this. Unfortunately, I don't know why President Akufo-Addo has taken this line. He himself was a member of the socialist movement on campus. Whether it was genuine or not, now we are seeing that it might not have been genuine. But I can only assure people that you can desperately try to raise some people's role in our independence struggle. But Nkrumah is real, and Nkrumah is for all time.
But do you also agree that ultimately, when the history of Ghana is told, how Ghana got to where it got to, there are so many people who deserve credit beyond Nkrumah, and that if you're doing a Founders Day, it should encapsulate everybody?
But that is why we celebrate Independence Day. And then, of course, 1st July. And you see, just even pause and take a retrospective, view of President Kufuor. What we are seeing now, did Kufuor do it? We celebrated a golden jubilee throughout Kufuor's 8-year reign. 1st July had been maintained. Even those who overthrew Nkrumah from 1966, 1st July had been celebrated all through. And if it were not 1st July, when we became a sovereign state and we are still like Canada and Australia and New Zealand, would we have President Akufo-Addo? We will have President Akufo-Addo. And so if you don't recognize this date, it is your own personal thinking. It is because of the construction of our power system or governance system. That's why we are having this. But in the US, for instance, how dare you downgrade 4th November? You see, how dare you downgrade 4th November? But somehow our constitution, indeed, as President Mahama said, the constitution really has some question marks. I have always said that. And it is important that there is a strong commitment towards constitutional reform, because you cannot really take our history from us. Because as I keep saying, this country doesn't belong to anybody. It belongs to all of us. You see, we have equal stake in the destiny of this country, and we, at least, nobody holds monopoly over patriotism. But somehow, our governance architecture is such that when you are president, you think you can do anything. You see, independence was won for us on the 6th of March 1957. We became a sovereign Republican state on the 1st of July. How can somebody come to power sometime and then downgrade it? You understand? All through the republics we have had in the governance system, NLC, Progress Party, NRC 1, NRC 2, SMC 1, SMC 2, the Third Republic, the AFRC, the PNDC, up to now, 1st July, 6th March had been recognized because that's what made us a sovereign country. So if it will happen that down the line, somebody will come and then tell us that we don't have 1st July, then you see that the constitution really has a problem, because you can have this type of leadership sometime in the future. So that's what I'm saying now. But Nkrumah is for all time. And any effort by any local people will only expose them for disgrace, because there are people who know the history of Ghana at their fingertips, and the archives. If you go through the archives, the records are there. Nkrumah, the achievement of independence was not an event. It's not an event. It was a series of activities from 1947 all through to 1957. And as for Nkrumah's achievements and his philosophy, which were the books he wrote. I mean, those ones, they are subject matters for debate on another day. But all these desperate efforts will only end sooner.
In fact, 4th August has become the day on which this is done. President Akufo-Addo has made 4th August a holiday, at least as part of the use of his power. This is his last term. What should happen to 4th August after he leaves power?
Oh, ask the presidential candidates. At least I've heard President Mahama and ask the other presidential candidates.
But what do you think they should do?
Or it should be scrapped, simple and short. Simple and short. Yes, Independence Day recognizes everybody. And now I'm asking, if that is a line of the logic, why not celebrate Power Grant? The rest of the big six, what did they do? Because by 1952, the UGCC, if they contested the 1951 election, they had only one seat. The JB Dankwada, they are trying to magnify, even lost the 54 election in his constituency in Chibi by his cousin Aaron Furiata, who was a member of the first Black Cabinet of 1954. Buzia won election in his constituency by 11 votes. So, and later on, through their activities, they rather had to run. And why not Komnak Bedema, who virtually was the single one-man orchestrator with Kojobo Ocho? Nkrumah was in prison. They were scribbling letters and correspondence on toilet rolls and giving to Nkrumah in Osherford. And he single-handedly, with Kojobo Ocho and his comrades, organized the 1951 elections that Nkrumah won. Nkrumah won in prison. So why not Komnak Bedema? When Komnak Bedema went to America as finance minister to negotiate the Yakosombo Dam or the Vargo deal, people like Buzia and others were in the U.S. writing for America not to grant us the loan or credit facility for the construction of the dam. And these are intellectuals who were telling us that Nkrumah placed industrialization ahead of agriculture. And today, so if Nkrumah put oil mill at Esiama in the heart of coconut palm growing area, if he placed a factory at Wenchi, because if you know that environment, that's where you have cashew, mango, etc. If he placed a cannery at Nsawam, and you travel all the way from Nsawam to Aburi, you see today pineapple, and he placed a cannery there. You understand? And the factories that he placed at Veime, few people will not recognize that we have more cattle in the coastal savannah, that is what we call the Winneba, Accra, Ketaho plains, than even in the north. Do you know that? And that's why he placed at Aveime tannery. Today, we go and pluck coconut from the central and western region, bring them to Accra, crack, take the juice. If the flesh is a bit soft, you take it and you are down. And pass through any coconut selling point, and you see heap of crack kernel that will be taken and thrown into our incinerator. So if 60 years ago he placed an oil mill at Esiama, and then in the heart of rubber growing area he placed a Firestone. You understand? Is that industrialization ahead of agriculture? But these were the points that intellectuals of the UP tradition have been propounding. And today, 60 years later, all that we get from the coconut palm, and if you Google, see the 26 economic uses of the coconut palm. But today, what we use the coconut palm is just to take the fresh kernel, bring it all the way from the western and central in articulators, distribute crack, take the little juice, and throw the rest away. Present day leaders, do they have vision? And rather go and take loans and cut. Is that all that governance is about? So, look, you celebrate leaders because they inspire you, and I think that is what leadership is about. It is not about going around denigrating people. You don't elevate yourself by bringing somebody down, because, as I said, God has created more opportunities for you. So why bring somebody down when you cannot even attain the potential of your own opportunity? That is what we are doing. So perhaps we, the progressives, also have to take a bit of the blame. We have to continuously tell the story. It may not be in the curricula of schools per se, but we have to keep on telling our story. And when people hear consistently, they will draw the conclusion and know who is telling the truth and who is trying to fabricate. But those who want to elevate their family members to public status, you can't stop them. You see, you can't stop them. But the forces of nature will be a brake on their unsustainable and desperate attempt to rewrite our history. It will never happen. So we also thank you because the media has been supportive in this role. Because they say a nation without a sense of history is like a ship adrift on a wide ocean without a wherewithal to chart a course. And we can't allow that to happen. We have a history, and that history can never be whitewashed because it's that history that will guide us. So it's unfortunate, but for me, the Constitution is to blame for the type of autocratic leadership that we are seeing in recent times.
Prof, thank you. Thank you very much
for speaking
to us.
It's a pleasure.
Professor DOWUONA is a young senior citizen. He said I should leave it at that. So, young senior citizen, Professor DOWUONA, speaking to us. Now, interestingly, one of the things that keeps coming up